Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Zemikiel Araga and this is my colleague Dr. Rose. Today we have a brief discussion on should patenting a human gene should be outlawed. We are Group 2 Team Affirmative. So let's start our discussion. Please, Dr. Rose, start.
So first, before we discuss the subject itself, we're going to have to start with the definitions. Patents are government grants that give their owners the right to exclude anyone else from making, using, or selling the inventions they describe. So to be eligible for a patent, the invention must be new, useful, and something that's not obvious for anyone else working in the field. So for example, laws of nature are not patentable. A microorganism as it exists in nature is not patentable. However, a genetically modified version of that microorganism can be patented.
Good. So when you come to the idea of this context of laws, there are some established laws that are previously published. For example, me and my colleagues agree that anything invented by human beings should be patented, but these naturally occurring genes, they cannot be patented. Even the United States Office of this patent say that naturally occurring genes cannot be patented. And in the European Union, on their laws, Article 5 also, they mentioned that the human body at a various stage of its forms and developments, and the simple discovery of one element, including the sequence and the partial sequence genes, cannot be considered a patent. Cannot be considered a patentable invention. So this basically a couple of laws that are basically supporting the idea of that naturally existing genes should not be patented.
So for our opening statement, we're gonna study a case, an ongoing real case, which is called the Myriad Genetics case. This is a biotechnology company that has the patent for the BRCA1 and the BRCA2 genes. Those are the genes that are responsible for the breast and ovarian cancers. The controversy was reignited in March 2010 when a US federal district court decided that isolated human gene sequences are not patentable. So what happened is that the company who owns the patents, they charged a lot on companies wishing to use these genes, and they also prevented other labs using the genes in research, diagnostic, and even therapeutic applications. So the American Civil Liberties Union and also the Public Patent Foundation, they both filed a lawsuit claiming that the Myriad's patents were invalid, that they stifled biomedical research and diagnostic testing. And the court actually agreed with the plaintiffs, and they found that isolated gene sequences are not patentable because they are not different from the gene sequences as they exist in nature. So in order to tackle the whole dilemma, we're going to have to look at it from three different dimensions. The first one is the scientific research, which is going to protect the rights of the researchers. The second one is the healthcare access, which is going to protect the rights of the patients. And finally, the ethical concerns that are going to be of importance to the public in general.
Good. To add more pointers, there is also a medical condition called QT syndrome that basically affect the heart conduction, electrical conduction system. It basically causes the heart to beat abnormally, like fast and irregularly. So this medical conditions, it is also have its own specific genes, and it is patented by a certain company for 2 years. And because of this, it is responsible that for the deaths of many children below the age of 10 years within these 2 years. So this is one of the big complications that we noticed in this gene patenting.
Another example is that of a company that invented an asthma drug, and they said that during the 20 years, the 20-year term of the patent, no one is going to be able to use the sequence to determine whether the drug is useful or even harmful for the patients. Going back to the Myriad's case, the test actually cost $3,000, despite of the existence of other labs that were willing to offer testing for the third of that price. Also back to the example that my colleague just mentioned about the QT syndrome test, it actually costs $5,400, despite it could have been easily undertaken for like 75% less.
To add more points about this myriad genetics, this myriad genetics also, as my colleagues mentioned, that it's patented for a BRCA genes that are responsible for these breast and ovarian cancers, and because of it is patentable, the diagnostic test was only done by this myriad genetics company. So it basically increased these false positive results, that is, it's responsible for unnecessary mastectomy and oophorectomy, means the breast and ovarian removals for many women because of its false negatives. There is no other options to searches, so it is mentioned as a negative effect of this gene patenting.
Coming to the second dimension, which is the medical research, we're gonna present you some statistics, real-life statistics that show that it did stifle the research process. So actually, 48% of the members of the American Society of Human Genetics have had to limit the research due to patents. Also, directors of labs that performed DNA-based genetic tests indicated that over half of the respondents had not developed a test for fear of infringing patents, and that also 1 in 4 labs had stopped performing certain genetic tests because of patent restrictions or excessive royalty costs.
Good. When you come to the idea of this ethical consideration, I would like to, it is basically gene patenting. It has high significance with ethical consideration, but I would like to present them with 5 core pointers. The first one is it is morally unacceptable to own or to patent a human genes that naturally exist by a certain company. It feels ethically wrong. The second one is it basically promote a profit than the patient care, because as a health care provider, the first thing is we have to provide an competent health care for our patients, then we will concern for the rest of things. But as my colleagues mentioned before, for example, for myriad genetics, it costs around $3,000, and which is expensive and it is inaccessible for many of us. Third one is it is restrict access and lack of second opinions. For example, if someone is diagnosed with life-changing medical conditions like cancers, like hypertension, diabetes mellitus, anyone would like to confirm by going to another health professionals or by doing other mode of diagnostic tests. So being patented with a single company, it inhibits or it's disables these patients from having this second opinion chances. The fourth one is it's stifling the scientific progresses because it blocks researchers from studying these genes, because they have to get a permission from this organization, the one who patented it. So it slows down the scientific discovery. And finally, it brings global inequality, because countries like USA, Canada, like Westerners and Europeans have a better economic basis, so they did most of their researches first on this genomics. But countries like Asia and Africa, they have low economies and they can't invest more to this genomic sciences, so it costs too much for these developing nations.
So we're gonna say some rebuttal points. So first of all, we're gonna have to keep things into the same discussion. So we're going to have to focus on what we're discussing. First of all, we're discussing patents, not regulations in general. Of course, there have to be regulations and everything has to be regulated. But patents are not regulations. Patents are the right of the inventor to allow people or not allow them to use their invention. And in that case, because there are patent inventions for the benefit of the patients, it's actually harmful not to allow other labs or other companies to use the discoveries, especially if they are willing to provide them for a lesser price. Another point is that patents are not the only way to encourage innovation. There are actually many other ways, and people and scientists have been working on innovations and research long before patents existed. Please continue.
Okay. So patents, by definition, they give the right of the owners to turn their invention into like a monopoly. Yeah. So even though it's a minor case, for example, the researchers want to fund this. The researcher was funded by taxpayers' money, and patients don't facilitate this transparency because it gives the right to owners and to refute and to share them. So it makes sharing and collaboration more difficult if the human gene is patented.
So as for our closing statement, we're going to come to the point that patents are not the only incentive for innovation. Researchers can actually be working to help mankind to aspire for Nobel Prizes or any prizes in general, and to achieve academic advancement.
So the main concern is for this patent is most of the opponents they mention is this financial rewards. For example, scientists we basically, me and my colleagues agree that the scientists who are investing their times, their energy, their knowledge on their studying of human genes, they should have to be rewarded. But it's not about by patenting. Rather, they can generate their financial rewards from different sources, like from governmental and non-governmental sources, and from funding from taxpayers. There are a lot of options that can donate these researchers. So, but by patenting it, generating as an income resources, we believe it is wrong. We agree that this patenting these biological products like medicines, like drugs, this should be patentable. But patenting the natural existing genes, it's not acceptable.
We do have a suggestion when it comes to gene-based therapies, because no one is discussing whether they should be patented or not. Of course, they should be patented because they are actual inventions. They're not something that we simply discovered as it is in nature. But however, we have to find some regulations for those patents. For example, we can set a maximum for the royalties. We can set an expiry date for the patents. We can also do a step-down royalty method, where the percentage, the rate of the decrease, and the expiry date of the patent is determined based on the cost of the research. We can actually discuss this with the people who should have the patent, so it can be fair to the patients and also to the researchers. So basically, we should have regulations, and regulations are here to protect the privacy of the patient's genes. They should protect them against discrimination. They should also provide funding for the genetic research, and they should set to compensate researchers for their time and effort. Remember and make sure that you notice that in the Myriad's case, it was funded by taxpayers' money, and however, they did charge a high cost after having their patents. So it's not about gaining money. They were funded. It's about regulating how patents work to avoid misusing them. Here are all sources, and thank you so much.